In this week's show, I feature a New England-based a cappella group called Windborne. You may have already heard them if you watched our show with Zoe Mulford. Stick around. Welcome to Charlie's Open Mic. My name is Charlie Mosbrook. On this week's show, I have an a cappella quartet out of New England. They are called Windborne. They feature Lauren Bruenig, Will Thomas Rowan, Lynn Mahoney Rowan, and Jeremy Carter Gordon. We're going to talk to Jeremy in a little while, but before we do that, let's listen to the whole group sing.
Come all you good people, I'll sing you a song. I'll tell you the truth, I know I ain't wrong. It's from father to mother, from sister to brother. They've gotten the fashion of cheating each other, and it's hard times. Since cheating has got so much into fashion, I'm afraid it'll spread all over the nation, and it's hard times. Here's the old baker bakes all the bread we eat. Likewise the old butcher by selling his meat. They'll tip up the steelyards and make them lay down and swear it's good weight if it lacks 10 pound, and it's hard times. Since cheating has got so much into fashion, I'm afraid it'll spread all over the nation, and it's hard times. Here's the proud banker with keys to his vault. I swear to you all, he's worse by tenfold. He'll hand you 1,000 and call it a loan, but then soon enough he'll take all that you own, and it's hard times. Here comes the senator with a tie and a smile. He'll pledge and he'll promise and swear it's no guile. He'll go to the Capitol and say he's your friend.
Then he'll line his silk pockets and leave you again, and it's hard times.
Since cheating has got so much into fashion, I'm afraid it'll spread all over the nation, and it's hard times. But the Lord of Industry owns the whole lot. He's got nothing to fear, 'cause the senator he's bought. He's fixing the vote and he's rigging the game, but he points to your neighbor when you ask who's to blame. Since cheating's the way of the big corporation, by now it's spread all over the nation, and it's hard times. Now I've concluded, I've finished my song. I've told you the truth, and I know I ain't wrong. The butcher may cheat you, the banker ain't fair, but the problem is really the billionaire, and it's hard times.
Well, welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Thanks, Charlie. Glad to be here.
You are one-fourth of the group, and you are Jeremy Carter Gordon. Do you want to introduce the other folks behind you?
On our virtual screen here, we have Will Thomas Rowan, Lauren Bruenig, Lynn Mahoney Rowan, and then myself, Jeremy Carter Gordon, and we make up Windborne.
And you're all from the New England area?
Lynn and Lauren grew up sort of near Brattleboro, Vermont. Will grew up in southern New Hampshire, and I grew up just outside Boston in Massachusetts, but sort of have that shared New England folk music and dance community as our sort of childhood basis for what we do.
And are you currently living in Vermont then?
Up until fairly recently, we were. It's sort of a changing story. We moved out of, or Lauren and I moved out of our place in southern Vermont, where we'd been living in Brattleboro, and went on tour for about 6 months and sort of stashed all our stuff at our parents' and friends' houses and planned to move sort of towards the Boston area come March, when we were getting back from a European tour. And March rolled around and we flew back from France about 2 days before everything went into total lockdown. So we're at my mother's house, where I've been out all day working on renovating the chicken coop into an external space that people can be in. And the other two have been sort of homesteading at their place too. They're out in Western Mass in Goshen.
Have you guys been able to work together since the pandemic began?
About a month or so ago, gotten together and recorded our latest album, which we're sort of in the midst of starting to put out into the world, and that's really exciting.
You guys are primarily an a cappella group, but I know two of you are banjo players.
Will and I both play banjo, and Lynn plays washboard and does some foot percussion.
Okay.
And we occasionally bring in other instruments as well. In the Song of Hard Times, you'll get to see 5 jaw harps being played by 4 people. So that was a new thing, but yeah, mostly it's all about the voice and the harmonies and making that sort of greater than its parts.
Cool, and it's beautiful what you guys do together. You're doing a Indigogo campaign?
That's right, yeah.
Which, as people see this, will be in its final week. And
That-
I'm
yeah.
assuming with Indigogo, there's an extended period, too, where people can
Yeah.
continue to contribute.
The new project is an album and also a songbook. The CD will be packaged in sort of this mini CD-sized hardcover book with essays and illustrations and lyrics of a lot of the songs. The album is called Of Hard Times and Harmony. It's a bit of a follow-up to our last album, which is called Song on the Times. And Song on the Times and Of Hard Times and Harmony both deal with songs dealing with people's rights and human rights and environmental justice and a lot of these issues that we've been seeing. This current project is updating that. It's a lot of songs that are a little bit more introspective than some of the ones that people might have heard on Song on the Times. That one really had a sort of class struggle theme to it, and this one still maintains that, but perhaps has a little bit more of looking inwards and saying, okay, what are the ways that all of us are perpetuating issues and keeping alive injustice, issues around racial injustice, issues about sort of our own internalized bigotry, but also things dealing with gender identity and Indigenous and Native American rights and reparations. And for us, like the voice is such a powerful tool in this, and music is such a powerful tool in this. We often take these older songs and update some of the lyrics, a few words, to make things feel a little bit more relevant or to draw connections a little bit more explicitly from something that might have happened 150 years ago that people sort of agree on now, and bring that into the current time and say, hey, these issues are the ones that are happening now. They just look a little bit different.
Let's dig into your into the new record. So we're living in a time when it's very difficult to try to promote a new record because we can't go out and do live performances anywhere. And on top of that, even before the pandemic, a lot of people are using streaming services. I'm guilty of that. As a consumer, it's a good deal.
Yeah.
As an artist, it's very frustrating. But what I heard you describing was a package that is, something you could put on your coffee table, and there's a lot more reading material.
Yeah, and I think that what you say is exactly our thinking on that. When I buy a CD, which honestly is rarely because it's usually downloaded or gotten digitally, and we certainly try and get it through maybe an artist directly or through Bandcamp or some of these ways that aren't taking huge chunks of artist revenue. But when I buy a CD, I put it on my computer and promptly forget about the CD, or sometimes it lives in my car for a while, and that's kind of nice. But we thought about how do we produce something that people want to interact with as a physical object. I'm a big reader. I love books, and it's been interesting to observe this in myself, that the books that I actually buy are the ones that are physically interesting as objects, as something to interact with on a tactile level. And so we set out to create a product that would be that, and that people could keep coming back to, because there was stories and artwork and just like a really nice thing to hold. Of course, the music is the focus, and people are going to love that in any format. But we do sort of really want to keep bringing people back to this concept of the album as a thing that exists in the world and outside of computer space.
You perform a lot of music from various cultures. Georgia was one, Georgia being the country in Asia.
Yes. Not the Georgia that's on everyone's mind these days.
Right.
So none of us speak Georgian, but we've worked for a very long time with singing masters from Georgia and scholars of Georgia through an organization called Village Harmony, which is based in Vermont and leads sort of study trips abroad for singers of all ages and abilities to go to cultures that have a tradition of harmony singing and to study there with really master singers. That has really given us a lot of both the specific experience with different cultures, Georgian being a big one. We also do a lot of Corsican polyphony, just this highly ornamented and improvised singing tradition. Also the skills to sort of be able to find not just, okay, here are the notes and here are the sounds. How does someone who is a Corsican singing master approach singing? And so getting into things like vocal technique and the ways of conceptualizing of the music and the ways of conceptualizing of harmony and how different aspects of a song interact. On the new album, we'll have some of these songs of social struggle from one from Quebec, one from Occitania, and another from the Spanish Civil War. So bringing in some other languages, sort of cross-pollinating with the songs with a message.
You guys collectively kind of share the same viewpoints in the world?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we have all the same viewpoints, but we have enough of the shared core of what we believe, I think, both musically and politically.
Being where we are today, and we're a week out from an election that appears to have gone a different direction than where we've been the past 4 years, what is your vision for the future? What do you see happening? What would you like to see?
Well, I'll sort of answer that in two parts. I think one is I really hope that we as a country keep pushing towards these progressive ideas. I think that the idea that moderation can save us is a misguided one. The Democratic Party spent a lot of time trying to bring in people who had been Republicans but weren't willing to support the previous president. And I think that the sort of the obvious, when you think about it, result of that is Democrats won the presidency and those people kept voting for Republicans. Everyone who supported Medicare for All won their race. Everyone who supported the Green New Deal won their race. And I hope that that keeps going forward. Sort of on a different side of things, about a year ago, we were out in the Midwest. We were on tour and we had a gig in a quite rural part of the country, because like when we showed up, it wasn't the Toyota Priuses that were filling the parking lot. It was all the pickup trucks, and the organizer apologized to us because it was the first day of deer hunting season and said, okay, well, people are going to be gone, and I'm sorry they're not going to be coming out to your concert. It was a county that had gone 90% Republican in the 2016 election. We walked in and the organizer, I mean, it was very nice, really lovely fellow, and did say, you know, we get all types of people coming to these shows. And like personally, me, I support your message. I know what you're about and I agree with you. But there's all types who are coming to this. So just wanted to give you the heads up. And we appreciated that and sort of had a brief discussion and sort of said like, okay, well, should we do anything differently? Or like if we're singing in this place that obviously has like very different views than a lot of the audiences that come to our concert. And we basically decided, okay, no, we're not going to we're not going to change anything. And we ended up singing our concert, and there's this mix of just sort of fun, I don't know, fun American sing-along stuff with the banjo, and stuff from languages that people hadn't even heard of, let alone understand in our audiences. And then about half of it is these songs with a message, and they usually come with stories. And we try in our concerts not to sort of beat people over the head with preaching to them, but more telling the historical background of, okay, this is a story of people who were fighting for their rights 150 years ago. And we think that's still a relevant message today. And we sang the whole concert, and people were very nice. And leaving the concert had just sort of about convinced myself that was just like the 10% of people who didn't vote Republican. And we got a message the next day through our Facebook page from this gentleman. He started with just saying, thank you, beautiful music, sort of typical stuff. And then something along the lines of, I've been a conservative Republican my whole life. Those are the views that I hold. But, you know, your music and the way that you presented it really made me think with a lot of introspection about the views that I hold and why I hold them. And then he finished it with, and I think that's a good thing. This is a world in which no one changes their view about anything, it seems. Everyone already knows everything that they have to know. And so just like that little consideration of where that might be coming from feels really, really powerful. I don't think what we're doing is necessarily changing the world, but I think it's something that is creating the possibility for people to engage with messages and with ideas that if they heard them in a speech or if they saw them in a newspaper article, they would immediately dismiss. But I think music can allow a little crack to open, and then maybe something else can come in and widen it.
If you appreciate this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please ring the bell for notifications of upcoming episodes. Always click like and comment down below. Let us know what you're up to. And you can always find us at charliesopenmic.com to help support the show through our Patreon link. You know, it seems like it's been a really long time since I've had an opportunity to sit down and just speak with you candidly about my own life and what's going on with the show and the progress I'm making. And I think that's important to do because it gives you an opportunity to get to know me a little better. So with that, I've got some exciting news. I was recently made president of Folk Alliance Region Midwest. That's the Midwestern chapter of Folk Alliance International that covers the Midwestern United States and Canada. With that title comes the responsibility of guiding our board meetings, our board of directors, and to work with our conference director to put together a big conference that we hope to do next October, and then a new component of the organization, which is our virtual connections, which gives us an opportunity to create peer sessions via Zoom meetings and tech talks to help educate our community about the different technologies that are important to existing in this new paradigm. It also gives me the opportunity to reach out and meet all kinds of people in our industry and to introduce them to you. With that, and I also want to make sure that this is understood, I'm a Cleveland guy, and I started this show to present Cleveland musicians, people who were coming to my open mics. I don't want to forget that, and I'm going to do that on a regular basis. I know next week I have somebody lined up from the Cleveland area. I think it's important to remember where we came from and to remember what our community is. And my community is my home, my wife, my cat. My community is my neighborhood, where I do my open mic, my city, my state, my country, my globe, and the universe. This is a big community, and I want to remember every part of it, and I want to celebrate it all. Thanks for watching Charlie's Open Mic this week, and thank you to Jeremy Carter Gordon for sitting down and talking to me, and thank you to Windborne for sharing their music. As always, please hit that subscription link down below. Please ring the bell for notifications of upcoming episodes. Always click like, comment, share, and you can find us at charliesopenmic.com, where you can find our Patreon link to help support the show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.